Okay, so this is how to make a makeup pom-pom. If you don't have any fabric, like, furry fabric, you can use fleece. I would get the super soft fleece if you can from Walmart. That, or if you feel like spending the money on it, go ahead and get yourself the actual, like, fur from a fabric store. But I wouldn't recommend it unless you feel like doing a huge project with fur, because this stuff, even if it's fake, it's very expensive. I only have this from a project from like 2 years ago, and I had the Access fabric and I used it on another project and it didn't work out, so now I'm using scraps from scraps. You're also, if you don't actually want to go get fabric, like if you really don't feel like doing it, you can always just use a crappy little toy that you don't like anymore. This is actually my dog's toy because I'm not with the guy who gave it to me, but I'm using her for her stuffing because my dog's ripped her neck. So, because I didn't have my own stuffing anymore, I'm just using Access stuffing from an old toy. If you want to murder a teddy bear or something, go ahead and do it. Just make sure to cut along, like, the seams, like, those parts where you can tell that it was sewn together. But anyway, if you already know what type of jar that you're going to put it in, like I'm doing an oval-shaped jar, so mine is going to be more oval. I got this from a thrift store, and it was for $4, and I think it's absolutely beautiful. So you take your jar, take the jar bottom, and you put it on a piece of paper, and just trace around it. So this is my pattern piece. If you have thick fabric, like I did, just take the fabric and cut one piece at a time. Don't try and fold it over and do two pieces at once, because it doesn't turn out well. What happens is the bottom fabric usually moves and the pieces aren't symmetrical. So I already sewed my pom-pom together, and I flipped her right side out. You want to make sure that you have a little hole when you're sewing, so you can flip it right side out. If you don't, it's not going to turn out too well. And I'm just going to take a little bit of stuffing from the bear and put it into the pom-pom, so it gives it a bit more body. Now you want to be careful with how much you put in it, depending on how big your jar is. Like, because this fabric is so thick already, it really gets stuffed in there. So we want to make sure that it can still close when we're putting it in. And also, when you're sewing your pom-pom, make sure that when you're pinning it together, that if you've got something furry and fluffy like me, that all the fur is tucked in when you're doing it. Otherwise, it's going to be sewn into the seam, and it doesn't look nice. I learned that from other projects. So, now we just close off the piece, the little hole, and you want to sew it shut, like, it's folded like this, and you want to take your needle and see how it's right there. Pull it through that way, and then you take it to the other side and pull it through. And when you go back and forth, you can't actually see the stitching when it's pulled tight together. So this is what's called a slip stitch. That's just an example. So because my pom-pom is white, I need white thread. It doesn't matter what color you want. Like, it doesn't have to look traditional. Mine just needs to look traditional because it's for, like, a big thing that I'm doing. and I'm more of a traditional type person with things like this. Dude. My thread doesn't want to knot. Okay, so I put my needle through the back of the fabric where I finished the first stitching from the machine, just so you can't even tell and there's no big hole anywhere. You don't have to do the slip stitch really tight together, but if you don't, I would suggest going back over it. And you gotta have a little bit of patience with fabric like this, because you can't tell where the real fabric is and when it's not just fur. With this also, I didn't cut around it, even though it's all concaved. With this, you kind of can't even tell, but I wouldn't cut around it to push it out because it doesn't much matter. It's really easy to push it out and make it look rounded. Okay, and with my last stitch that I'm doing, I'm pulling my needle through twice through the loop to make the knot. Cut as close as you can without actually cutting your thread and without loosening the knot, and that's all done. You can't even tell. And now I'm going to work on, if you want to do a little bow like they normally have, you're going to want to get some thin ribbon probably. I don't know how all out you want to go, but I just got a regular thin ribbon. You can definitely get this at Walmart. And we're also going to want to thread our needle with the same color thread for that, so we can fasten it on. Okay, well, I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm just cutting off a random length so I can work on my bow. First you want to fold it over, loop it around your thumb, and then try and make sure you can pull the bigger part of the bow through, and also try and move the bottom piece. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm taking that extra part of the ribbon that sticks out at the bottom and I'm tucking it behind the part that I'm pulling through. I'm hoping this is going to work. Okay, let's try this again. Damn it. Because we want it to look like a nice ribbon, like, you know, that they normally look like a store-made ribbon. Oh. And this is the part that I hate the most. Which I don't think I'm going to get it the way I want to. Almost got it. Aha! Okay, so that idea hated me. Anyway, just make a normal ribbon, I guess, since I can't do it the way I want to. Normal little bow. No, it's not going to like me at all. Once you have the bow to the size that you want it, like the top part wise, like that. Just cut off wherever you want to. How you do it. Oh, crap. Okay. This is the inside of the ribbon. I'm cutting it on an angle. And you want to try and make sure that the angles are like the same looking. So I cut it on an angle like that, and then you take a lighter and you just run it along the edge really lightly. This finishes it so that it doesn't fray. Then take the thread that you have just for the ribbon, and first I'm trying to position your bow how you want it. Like I kind of want my little ribbon bottoms to go downward more. And then take the needle and push it through the back. And when you're sewing it in the front, make sure that your needle is basically on top of where you just sewed it through the front so that it doesn't look like you sewed it at all. It's only got that little dimple, but you really can't see it when it's not in your face on a camera. So that's how I wanted mine to look. More so. Actually, that is totally off, so I'm upset that I just did that. But any which way, after you sew your bow on the way you want to, I'm just going to stitch this on real quick so you can see how it looks. Just stitch it onto the top of the pom-pom the way you like, and it'll be a pretty full thing. Also, if you want to, for the powder, traditionally the powder went on the inside of the pom-pom so that when you dabbed it, it would come out. You can put the powder on the inside of it first so that it'll puff out. I wouldn't really do it because it's probably really, really messy. That, or I don't know if they make, I'm pretty sure they make powder glitter that would come out. But I'm using this separately from the powder. Like, I'm going to put the powder on the bottom of the jar. But, that's it, and I hope it was helpful and not that boring.